Welcome to Uxbridge Beat, the podcast where we feature the who's who of Uxbridge, Ontario. My name is Jennifer Nebu-Campsell.
And I'm Scott Campsell. The Uxbridge Fall Fair is one of the highlights of the year here in our small town, and we have a special guest today who has been involved with the fair for his entire life.
Rob Ashton is a local dairy farmer who has enjoyed playing several different roles in the fair and is now chair of the Uxbridge Fair Board.
From kiddie tractors to the dairy show, Rob has done it all with the fair and is now at the helm of keeping a major town event running smoothly.
This year's fair is fast approaching and the town is excited, but let's be honest about the real question that we all want to know. Will we be allowed to get our blankets on the benches early to reserve our spot for the Demolition Derby?
Let's find out with Rob Ashton.
Welcome to Uxbridge Beat, Rob. I'm so happy to have you on. We're without Scott today. He's at a function and you're representing the fair. Tell us who you are and what your role is with the fair.
My name's Rob Ashton, a Scugog resident, so I'm glad you let me come onto the podcast, but I can see Uxbridge from my backyard. We have deep ties with this township. Our families always come to Uxbridge to do their shopping and stuff. And I have a diary from my grandfather who speaks of going to the Uxbridge Fair back in the 1920s. I dairy farm just outside of town with my family, my parents and my wife and daughter. And then I have two younger boys who are still in school, college and grade 12 and high school. So that's me in a nutshell, sort of.
We're going to accept the fact that you live in Scugog, but you're working hard for the Uxbridge Fall Fair. What is your actual title and position for the fair?
I'm the chair or president of the fair board right now.
And how long have you done that for?
1 year last year, and then this year, and then again next year. So 3 year stint. Yeah.
Is that a position that you get voted in for or put your name forward for or just jump into the role?
Voluntold.
No,
it's not quite like that, but yeah, everybody sort of takes their turn on the board. Yeah. So it was my turn to step up and
here you are.
Here I am. Yeah.
And how's it going so far? Are you enjoying it?
Good thing I have lots of help. Makes my job a lot easier. Yeah. No, I enjoy it. Yeah. Well, I asked my mother the other day, have I been to every fair? Because she would know about when I was younger. And every year we always went to the fair. So I've probably been to 49 fairs.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, I grew up in Scarborough and I have roots here in Uxbridge from my family being here from the time I was 11. We had a property and my dad had a business here. But not growing up in an agriculturally rich community, Scarborough is not, the fall fair was not something that I was familiar with growing up. I mean, we had the C&E, but to me as a kid, that was just the Midway. It didn't occur to me that it was an agricultural exhibition. So can you explain to us just a little bit about the history of what a fall fair is, what the purpose was?
When the Uxbridge and Scots, they were separate fairs at one time, back in like 1864, they started fall fairs to get the farmers together and share ideas, bring your best produce, bring your best animal, and then they could share ideas and how they made that great looking wheat or how this bull grew up so well. And then they could take that back to their own farms and try to improve their farms from ideas from other farms. So that was sort of the impetus of the fairs. Some of them were in spring, some of them were in fall. And that was all started by the government. And then it just kept growing and growing. And then all of a sudden we had a Midway because, agriculture, it's still a big part of our area, but we need to draw in a crowd, right? So
I do have a question about the Midway. When you hire a company to do the Midway, are there competing companies that do Midways?
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 in Ontario that do Midways. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically we've had the same one for 10 years or so. And yeah, you just work with them, they work with us and try and find a fit. And this company's been great for the last 10 years, bringing in new rides every year to sort of give it a change so the kids don't get tired of what they used to have. But then they always have the mainstay of the Ferris wheels and all that stuff. So
how did COVID impact the fair?
Well, we didn't have a fair for 2 years. 1 year was completely done. And it's the second year we had animal events without crowds. So I'm also a 4-H leader. So our 4-H group was allowed to come to the fair on the regular day out the Saturday, and we exhibited our animals at the fair, but there was no crowds, just the parents around. Yeah. And that was a lot of work for the fair board that year because they had to fill all these health papers and just to have a bunch of people stand around outside.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's wild. But Bev Lapfa and Dave Dickey and Deb Dickey put that all together, and the rest of the fair board. It was great to get back out and sort of get it started again. And then we hopped back in again in 2022 and got going.
And I'm willing to bet there's nobody like farmers who can pull together and make something happen, right?
Well, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, we are always looking for a good time.
Well, that too. Why is the Uxbridge Fall Fair, let's say, superior or better or different than other towns?
Well, they all have their own uniqueness to them and things. But what I like about our fair, its setting is phenomenal. I call it the prettiest fair in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
In amongst the trees, it's tight. Everything's close together, but not too tight that it's crowded. I think that gives it a bit of appeal. You have to walk forever to find something. It's all right there. And the wide variety of things we have, just the animal exhibits and what you have in the barns with the crop exhibits and the quilts and jams and everything else. Yeah.
And the demolition derby. That's a big draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody looks forward to that. Okay, so let's talk about a hot button topic for the fair. The blankets on the benches.
Yeah.
Is how are we? It's tradition. Yeah. Okay.
And we get new directors come onto the board and they say, how are we going to fix this blanket on the bench thing? And we just said, you're not going to fix it. You're just going to leave it alone, because it's like I've been going to the fair since I was that tall, and it's always happened.
Okay, you heard it here, Uxbridge.
40 years of it.
40 years of blankets on the benches. It's not going to change. Yeah. So don't even bother complaining. Just get there, put your blanket on, make it happen. The fair is not an inexpensive beast to run.
No.
And it's not an inexpensive activity for a family. Let's say a family of 4. How much are we budgeting as a family to come to the fall fair this year?
We have a family rate of $60 for 2 adults and 2 kids that are under 14. So that's for the day on Saturday. Yeah, it takes a lot of money to run our fair.
Absolutely.
We have to put up fencing, auxiliary lighting. We got to pay to have that guy with the big sled for the tractor pull, right? There's all kinds of little things. Security is now a big bill. It's our biggest bill. Right?
It's your biggest bill. Okay, so just before we came onto the mic, we were talking about security. We were talking about specifically about backpacks. So last year you had a no backpack rule. And to be clear, this is not geared at, little old ladies with their big bags. And it's not geared towards moms with their diaper bags. Absolutely not. It's geared to the teenagers who are bringing in their stashes of booze and getting drunk and starting fights.
Yeah, we had people ask us, well, I have an oxygen tank in a backpack, so I can't come to the fair. No, we're not here to make your life horrible. Yeah, we're just trying to crack down on some of the rowdiness that we were having at the fair. We put that no backpack rule in, and it really helped us last year.
With the exception of the comers and the goers, right? That they were making exits and entries. Yeah. And so do we change that this year?
For this year, we're instituting a 9:30 no entry. So at 9:30, the gates will close. The fair will continue till 11 o'clock. But at 9:30, the gates have closed. There'd be no entry anymore to the fair. Yeah, there's just another way of slowing down the rowdy crowd coming in later on. We're a family fair. We want the families to have fun. Last year, we really noted how many more families are in the Midway later in the evening, which makes the Midway guy really happy because he's making money. Before, when we had just the teenagers just standing around chatting, it's not helping the Midway. It's not helping our fair, and it just puts a bad light on things. So these are things we've looked at, and we've looked at other fairs and seen what they've done, and we've implemented these things just to make it a better family event.
And I'll say, as the parent of a teenage daughter, and I'll let her go to the fair at night, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that there are things in place that, as a mom, I can feel a little bit more comfortable, that there are steps in place that are going to calm down the energy.
So yeah, and the other things we've done with the township is phenomenal to work with. They support us 150%. They brought in their staff last year, bylaw staff, and they were walking around the grounds. And they weren't there's no smoking, there's no drinking on our fairgrounds. There's a few other rules, right? And they weren't ticketing people. They're giving education. Okay, if you're going to do that, maybe go stand over there in the tree and have your little puffer machine going, right? They're not there to make you feel bad, but they just want to educate so that everybody knows what's going on. And also we got the auxiliary. Well, no, we had actually pay duty police last year on both nights. We'd only done it one night before, and they really helped quell the crowd too, right? When you got 6 burly cops standing around, it helps.
Just the presence is important.
And
Absolutely.
put the cop cars at the gates so that people see when they're coming in that there are police on the ground.
So next to the police and people that you would have to pay, now we have a whole army of volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
How many volunteers does the fair need each year?
It's got to be 250. It's just, we sit around all year at the table, and there's the executive board, and there's like 6 or 7 of us. And then we have the big board, and you only get about 15 people come out to that. But then on fair weekend, they just all show up. It's crazy. You just wonder how you're going to pull this event off. But people are so attached to this fair, these volunteers, that they just come back for those 4 days of organization to get the fair going. And then they're there for the 2 or 3 days of the fair. And then they just disappear again into the ether. But we're so glad they come out and support our fair and make it what it is.
What type of roles do volunteers play other than the board members?
They come in and they decorate. They decorate that barn where all the exhibits are. They organize the exhibits that the people bring to the fair. Even before that, to decide what exhibits we're going to have, people will be entering into the fair. They do all that work. We have to put all that fencing up. We have a fence crew. The guys that work at the tractor pull and the demo derby, there's all that crew. Those guys, they're there some guys come in Monday night, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're there setting up all the stuff for all that fencing, that orange fencing and stuff to keep the crowd back from the track and all that. There's all those folks that do all that kind of stuff as well. There's
lots of moving parts.
Lots of little jobs, yeah.
Is there an opportunity for people who might want to get involved last minute?
Yes, there's always opportunities for that. We also need the high school students, right, to come in. There's lots of hours to be had. You can go onto our website and scroll all the way to the bottom, and then you see become a volunteer. Click that button, and then that sends an email to our coordinator, and then we can sort of send the people off to where we need them. Yeah.
That's great. And to know that they can get hours for their high school hours there, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What is your favorite memory of the Fall Fair? So you've had many decades of attending, of being involved. Actually, before you tell me your favorite memory, tell me what different roles you've played. Have you had have you been part of exhibitions, or?
I was I still am the dairy chair. So the guy that runs the dairy show. That's how I ended up, I started on that, and all of a sudden I ended up on the board somehow. I don't even know how it happened. And then all of a sudden, look, Rob's the chair. So that's my main role. I have helped out a little bit with the tractor pull, but not too much. I supply a lot of the calves for the dairy show. It takes a lot of organization to get those calves to the fair on Saturday. So doing a whole lot with the tractor pull, had to shift to the side because I was working hard to get these calves to the fair on Friday night to get them there on Saturday. So, yeah.
What's your favorite memory as a non-participant? Let's just say as an attendant, maybe growing up.
Well, I've always participated. That's the thing.
Oh.
Showing calves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Midway is always a big thing. But yeah, I was always doing something with the fair. That first time I showed a calf when I was like 6 or 7, right? Just a little gaffer leading this little calf around. There's a picture on the Instagram, I think, our Instagram page, of me and my brother standing watching the pedal tractors, which I would have participated in. So that's a pretty great memory.
Hey Uxbridge, when I first opened Okamikai Martial Arts and Fitness in September of 1999, we only had a small dojo with tiny change rooms, and we only offered karate classes. We now have a 3,000 square foot training facility, and that's not including our spacious change rooms with showers inside Body Fit Health Club. We still offer karate, but we also offer classes in Aikido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and weapons including Japanese sword. We also have great fitness classes that'll keep you motivated to take your training to the next level. As much as I'm proud of these accomplishments, our biggest success is in our programs for children. We're not just happy with kids winning medals, we want them to win at life. That means increasing their focus, self-discipline, self-confidence, and self-esteem, and not just their self-defense skills. We haven't slowed down in our almost 25 years of operation. We've gotten bigger, better, and we're just getting started. Now is the time for you and your family to get started along with us. Contact us today at Okamikai Martial Arts and Fitness at okamikai.com.
What's the best part about being on the board for you?
Just getting this fair organized and giving the chance to other people to come and see the fair and enjoy our town and see how great it is. So really a story. Last year on the Sunday, like it's already been 2 days. It's been a week at the fair because you're setting up and everything. Mm-hmm. And Sunday morning, I was dead tired. I was like, man, this is another day of this. And I was walking up to the ag tent, and this vendor stopped me because I had my president's thing on. And she goes, man, this is the best fair we've been to all year. I just like, really? And she said, you guys are all great. The customers have been all great. We just love it here. And that gave me a boost to get me through Sunday. So, and she's not even a kid. She's just a vendor. She was telling me how great this fair was. So
that's important to have that positive feedback and that appreciation.
For sure.
Yeah. What's the worst part of your job?
It's a long stretch through that weekend. Monday afternoon, I sleep.
I bet.
Yeah. No, it just takes and we got a lot of help, but man, there's a lot of worry in your brain of what could go wrong, right? So like weather could just kill the fair, right? Oh. Yeah. If you have a bad weekend, you pretty much don't make any of your money back. So. We
had that, I think, was that 2 years ago? It just monsooned for a couple of days there. Mm. Oh. And then when it does dry, or at least it stops raining, then everything's still soaking wet.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so no rain this year. No rain this year.
We've had pretty good weather for the last 2 years. I think that you're thinking you lose the COVID years, right?
Yeah.
That was 2 years before I think that was 2017. There was like a hurricane came through.
I think you're right.
Yeah, we had to cancel our show on the Saturday. It was horrible. So
what's going to be brand new this year?
The baby show is coming back on the Sunday. So you have to pre-register for that. So you just go to our website and find that little tab and pre-register. We haven't had that in a while. And also Super Dogs at 11, 1, and 3 on Sunday as well. So we're trying to beef up our Sunday crowd a bit more. We noticed there wasn't as many people coming in on Sunday as we've had in the past. So we're hoping those two things will really help. So those are our two biggest new things this year that I think that'll please the crowd. So
absolutely. All three of my daughters did baby shows at various fairs, and Super Dogs are so much fun. Yeah. Have you ever had a chance to see them?
Well, I was at Sutton Fair and I caught a glimpse of them there. Same crew that's coming down.
So much fun. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be exciting. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, they're so talented, right? And they put on a great show. So, yeah.
What are you most looking forward to for this year?
Well, it's always the dairy show for me.
Yeah.
But last year we started the pedal tractor pull. So our fair board owns pedal tractors, and it's for kids sort of that 4 or 5 up to age 8, 9. When they get past 9, they're a little too big for the pedal tractor. So we put a little sleigh on the back, and then they got to pull this sleigh in behind them. And it's just like the big sleigh. As they're moving down the track, the weight moves back or moves ahead, and then that puts more weight on the tractor and slows them down, right?
So help me out here, because I haven't seen it. So is it a tricycle dressed up like a tractor?
Yeah, you could say that. So it looks exactly like a tractor. The kids sit on it. It's got a little steering wheel, and then they pedal with their feet. The feet are out in front of them, yeah? So I referenced it earlier, those same tractors that we used when I was a kid are the same tractors we're using now.
That's great.
They're 40-year-old tractors, right? And they still work fine. And it was a big hit last year, yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Had a big lineup of kids there when we were running them down the track. So.
How about leaf blower soccer? Is that back?
No, that's
not. Oh, yeah. I played that.
So yeah, we're working with Impact, and they run our demo derby now.
Yeah.
The Bonner boys did it for several years, but they're just running low on volunteers, right? So we went this Impact crew, and they have other things. They have the little Hot Wheels cars that the kids get into and then bang into, right? So.
That'll be
fun. The little battery powered ones, yeah. So they ran that. They're running that before the big demo derby gets started.
What are some of the other things that you feel that we absolutely need to know as Uxbridge residents for the Uxbridge Fall Fair?
Steve and Nia Hashi have that band shell just rocking down there all weekend long. So they start with the Teen Talent Show on the Friday. Actually starts a bit before the fair at 4:00, I think. They're having the princesses back, the superheroes back. On Sunday, they're doing a nod to Maud, so you can meet Lucy Maud Montgomery. So there's always something going on at the band shell. The truck and tractor pull, mainstay for Friday night. The demo derby is, of course, back. On Saturday, during the day, we have the light horse show. There's Stopper Creek. They come and exhibit their wildlife there, or their creatures that they have at their
It's a rescue, isn't it?
A rescue,
yeah.
The dairy show's on. They have the lawn tractor. Did I say lawn tractor pull? Yeah. On Saturday as well. Sunday, the heavy horse show, and the pull is back as well. The beef show is there. We have our ag tent going on, and of course, all the other exhibits around. The car show is back as well. The old car show on the Sunday.
And just to be clear, you said ag tent. Earlier, I thought you said egg tent, but ag meaning agricultural tent.
Agriculture,
Okay.
sorry.
I grew up in Scarborough.
yeah. Last year we had the water buffalo in there, which was kind of a neat thing. There's a family that had bought a couple of water buffalo.
Actually, so not bison, not Thunder Ridge.
No, they're
water buffalo.
Water buffalo, yeah.
Where are they from?
There's a farm in Sterling, and they bought them from that farm in Sterling. So they've since moved on. But
darn! I missed the water buffalo.
Yeah. And we'll have a milking demonstration in there on Sunday. I think Saturday they're bringing in some beef animals to exhibit there. Also on Sunday there'll be a poultry exhibit. So there's a young gentleman that brings in chickens and pheasants and all kinds of neat stuff up there in the ag tent. And there's an agricultural trailer that drives around with exhibits, and that comes in as well. And that's what we fill up the tent with, is these exhibits talking about all aspects of agriculture.
And would that be the same agricultural tent that's going to have the competitions?
No. It's just, it's its own little separate, it's an education area up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we do have that competition barn though, right? With crafts and
the crafts, the flowers, the corn, the hay, the grains. It's
excellent.
Going to be, it'll be there.
So give me a little bit of education. I can understand, let's say the tractor pull or the heavy pull for the horses that, I understand how a race works. Educate me on how a dairy show works.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the kids in my 4-H club, they train their calves all summer long. There's 2 components to it. We hire a judge who's a trained judge, and he comes to the show. The first competition they compete in is how well can they show their calf off to the best of their ability. So the judge is actually judging the child on how well they're showing this calf.
So presentation skills. Okay.
Is the head up high enough? Are you setting the feet properly? If the calf's back is arched, are you getting it pinched down so it's nice and level? All that kind of stuff. Are you watching the judge for his commands instead of like watching the Ferris wheel or watching your tab, right?
Right.
You're paying attention to what's going on. So they do that. And then the next time they come in, the judge is now looking at the calf. And that's basically a beauty pageant.
Okay. Yeah. And what makes a cow beautiful?
Straight lines, deep rib. I can go way inside baseball on you, but with the rump, width throughout the whole body. You'll have to stop by the show.
I will.
During the show, I explain some of this for the crowd while they're watching the show. So
now, it wouldn't be just cows that have a show. There would also be goats.
We have a goat show and we have a sheep show. Those are both on Saturday, and then the beef show is on Sunday.
Is there a fair queen?
No.
No.
Ambassador now.
An ambassador. Okay.
It's open to both males and females.
Yes.
But we need somebody to organize it, and we just don't have anybody that's been doing it for the last few years. So I think our last one was in 2018 or so. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to step up and take over arranging so what is involved with being a fair ambassador?
Well, you'd have to be at the fair for the duration of the fair, handing out ribbons. You might have to go to maybe the high school and talk about the fair and how great it is. You also go down to the CNE and represent Uxbridge Fair at the CNE at the ambassador competition.
Yeah, right? And I did see, the last time I was at the CNE, I did see there was a big display of all the ambassadors from all the fairs all over Ontario. And Uxbridge did have a representative at that point.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes more than just a beauty pageant, right? It used to just be a beauty pageant at one point.
No, I don't think it was ever strictly a beauty pageant. No, I think it was lots of speeches and your knowledge of your fair and knowledge of agriculture. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Listen, I was never part of it. Back in my day, they wouldn't allow us in, but now it's open to males and females. That's why they call it ambassador.
But it would be good to know that if somebody stepped up and wanted to take over the responsibility, that we could bring back this element back to the fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
No, it's too late for this year. But there's always opportunities for that. Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah. You've got your grandfather's diary here, and you had said that there was an entry from what year where he had gone to the fair?
Both in 1918 and 1920. So the Uxbridge Fair was always held on May 24th. Doesn't matter the day of the week. It was always May 24th. I confirmed this with my father. I said, you always held on May 24th, and it was both days were May 24th, and one was a Thursday and the other was a Tuesday. And he said, yeah, it was just, that was the day, May 24th. So Queen Vicky's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just went out to Uxbridge to the fair.
When did it change to be a fall fair?
When they amalgamated with Scott Township. So Scott Township, everything north of Sanford, they had their own fair, and it was actually in the spring. So, or it wasn't, sorry, it was, Uxbridge was in the spring and Scott was in the fall. And then when they amalgamated, they ran it in the fall, and I think it was the weekend after Thanksgiving, like late October. And, you know, it can snow in late October, right?
It certainly can.
Sometime prior to my birth, but not too far prior to my birth, it changed from that late October to the weekend after Labor Day, which is a lot more pleasant weather-wise. So
I like the date. I like that, you know, school has just started and the kids can all see each other. They've just had their first week of school together, but it's not you know, in the middle of the summer where people have to come home from their cottages or anything like that. And it's also not in, you know, later in the fall where it's freezing.
Yeah.
So
no, it's a perfect time.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So yeah, come up to the fair. The town trolley is going to be running around picking people up at the Body Fit in Uxbridge High School, Harriman Fields in the arena. It helps you because there's limited parking at the fair at the Elgin Park, right? So, and then they also, as they're driving to these places, they'll pick you up on the side of the road.
That's great. And you know what? My daughter and I did use the bus a couple of years ago, and that was so helpful. And he let me on with the dog as well. That was really nice.
It's a great fit for us. We really need to, we still hire a school bus as well, but they do a great presentation on that town trolley, right? There's always something.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And I will note the reason I had to get on with my dog was because stupid me brought the dog to the fair. You cannot bring your dog to the fair.
Right,
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Had to get on the bus, take him home, and then come back.
Again.
Yeah.
As long as service dogs are allowed, but your personal pet isn't. Yeah.
I tried to put a vest on him, and nobody believed me. Nobody believed me.
Drug sniffing dog. That didn't work. No. Okay.
Thank you for spending the time. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited that we're going ahead, and we're going to have no rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Let's, knock on wood for that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
There are times when you and I have to sit down when we're going to do one of these outro sessions after an interview, and we always talk about what are we going to talk about. And believe it or not, we actually plan this. and then we sort of free fly from there. We improv and go wherever it goes. But this is just so easy. To talk about the Fall Fair, this has been a major event for so many years. Even though you moved in from Scarborough, you still have fond Fall Fair memories. What are your favorite moments?
I think watching my kids on the Midway and how happy they've been. My youngest daughter's birthday is right around the Fall Fair. So we did have that one birthday party where we took her to the fair for her party. What else? I like the animals.
Leaf blower soccer.
Oh, I forgot about that. I really liked leaf blower soccer. Thanks for letting me play with you guys that one year.
Yeah, that was Sean Whitlock, Law and Order, and he organized that. And so James Tennant and I got in on that from Lawnscape. And a bunch of blowers and a lot of dust. And even when they wet the track down, they said, okay, we're going to wet the track down because the dust was and dirt flying through the air was just too much. And now we're running in mud trying to do it with big backpack blowers on our backs. And I don't think there was a solution one way or the other. Maybe that's why they've axed it.
Well, the year that we played, both Dave Barton and Bruce Garrett were on our team too.
With Dan Pollard doing the commentary. And we couldn't hear it anyway because the blowers are so loud. And yeah, no, that's a good time. Last year, I got to ride in my first rodeo. So now I can't.
No, you can't say it's not my first rodeo.
That's true. Unfortunately, the competitions are Saturday this year, and I got to teach. But I think I'm going to look into this next year. I'm going to take this a little more seriously because it's a lot of fun.
The other thing is those two hot button topics of benches with blankets and backpacks.
Yeah. And yet the whole town, we already know how this is going to go down. After the demolition derby, people are going to complain about it. But if you'd bought a ticket then now you've reserved your seat in advance. So this is a way technically where you could pay for your ticket. You bought your blanket, you duct taped it around a bench, you've reserved your spot. What's that any different from buying a ticket ahead of time and taking a seat? I don't see the difference there.
Oh, no, you don't see it, but other people see it. So it's going to be quite contentious, and the backpack issue will also be contentious. But if we can remember what it's all about for the backpack issue, it's just safety and keeping our fair safe. One of the things that Rob mentioned that I hadn't quite considered is that for the Midway, we benefit when the fair benefits. And if people are just standing around talking and not actually riding the rides, but just hanging out and socializing, then it's a lost moneymaker, right?
Yeah, but I don't think we should downplay that either. There are times where I've gone to the fair just because I know that I get to see people that I haven't seen almost all year. You know, like that's one of the things about being a part of the community.
But you don't bring a backpack full of booze and get blasted and then start fights. Well,
No, no, because if I fight somebody at the fair, I have to send them an invoice.
Moving on.
You teach martial arts. But,
well, I'm excited to go. Will you be my date this year for the fair?
Absolutely. This has been a Capsule Broadcasting production. Maybe only veteran fairgoers will remember this, but years ago we never needed to bring booze in backpacks. We just needed to help at the Gorgon's Chili booth.